Hi, everybody. This is Minni Sharma. I'm an author in Empowering Women to Succeed from Burnout to Victory, and I'm so excited to share my chapter with all of you. And the online launch is on May the 10th, and May the 28th is our live launch, so I really hope to meet all of you there. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about grief and the journey of grief. Part of my chapter, well, my whole chapter is really based on loss. And it's so universal. Unfortunately, all of us will at some point probably experience the death of a loved one. And almost half of us, especially in North America, might go through a divorce. And although they're very different types of losses, the journey and emotions are quite similar. So I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about the journey of grief and kind of what helps to get through it, because it is, whether it's losing a job, losing our identity, losing our dignity, losing our home, losing a loved one, a relationship, all these losses really do affect us in such huge ways. And what we want to be able to do is develop a skill set or a toolbox to help us get through losses and crisis. A lot of that comes from our behavior and the way we react to loss or crisis or grief does come from how we were raised as well. So, for instance, if you came from a family who was okay with emoting and emotion and crying, then you might feel more comfortable doing that, showing your emotion when you're in pain. Whereas other families, it might have been more taboo to show emotion. So if you were in pain or hurting or sad about something, you weren't allowed to show those emotions. It wasn't acceptable. So then we grow up as adults, we kind of deal with crisis in that manner where we either swallow it or shove it under the rug and pretend like it doesn't exist. So how we deal with grief and crisis is really, really important because it does kind of determine how healthy our grief journey is. So all I can say, one of the biggest tips that I can give you in terms of what really works, especially as a psychotherapist when I work with my clients, is developing support systems. So important. And support systems don't necessarily have to be a person, believe it or not. It could be an exercise routine. It could be eating healthy. It could be journaling. It could be having fun with friends, watching a funny movie. Support systems with people, I highly recommend and suggest that if you're having a hard time through your grief process, to get the support of a therapist or social worker or a psychologist, someone who can help you through that journey that's objective and not directly involved in your situation. So friends and family are great, but remember, they're also subjective and have their own opinions. So that might make it more difficult to get objective support. I often say to people, well, we don't think twice about putting gas in our cars or getting oil changes because we need that to get to work or to wherever we're going. Well, therapy or support systems, any support systems, are really much the same. It's putting gas in your car. It's putting gas into your body so that you're able to function in a healthy manner. So, really think about getting support in that manner as opposed to sometimes people making you feel weak if you ask for support or help. And I know a lot of things are changing with mental health and people are talking about it more. People are getting more support about it. But, to really, really look at it as an education for yourself or developing a toolbox to help you through. So you don't always have to be in therapy and you don't always need those support systems all the time because you would have developed a toolbox on how to deal with loss and grief. So when someone we love dies, we go through a lot of emotions and, there's some gurus out there, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who talk about the stages and phases. But the truth is, grief can look like anything for anyone. We're all so different. Generally speaking, you might go through the emotions of depression, anger, bargaining, and the goal of any grief journey is acceptance. It's kind of coming to a place where you go, okay, I'm going to be okay without this person in my life. And that can take a lot of time. And to be honest, you can get to acceptance and then go back to, get triggered and go back to anger or depression or whatever it is. So, to be kind and gentle with yourself if that does happen. Now, dealing with death is a very different kind of loss because there's permanency in it. And then there are secondary losses, right? You might have to move if it's your husband that died and you can't afford the house. You're no longer a mother if your child dies. So there's all these other secondary issues that we have to go through. And oftentimes there's so many people there around the funeral and at the beginning, and 3 months goes by, 6 months goes by, a year goes by, and everybody else's life kind of moves on. And that's really difficult. So starting to, there's a lot of support groups out there as well. You can go to Brief Families of Ontario, and there's a lot of hospices in your area that could help you through that. And most of those services are free of charge through your grief journey. Now I want to talk a little bit about divorce because that's a little bit different. When you go through a divorce, whether it's friendly or not so friendly, you still go through the emotions. It's very hurtful. It's very painful. So similar to death, you go through, the depression, the anxiety, the fear of what's going to happen next. The thing with divorce that's different is what we call disenfranchised grief. It's grief that society doesn't really recognize. So it's kind of hard to call in sick to work saying, oh my gosh, I can't come in today, I'm having a bad day, I'm going through a divorce. People don't really get that. They'll be like, oh, you need help, something's wrong with you. But if it was a death, there's a lot more compassion there. So unfortunately, when you go through a divorce, it can be a very private, very isolating journey. And again, support systems are really, really important to get you through, especially working with a divorce specialist. So a therapist who has knowledge of family law, has knowledge of divorce, is going to be really, really a lot more helpful than someone who maybe doesn't. So I really hope that's helped you all in terms of kind of understanding some of the emotions around grief and loss, and the difference between the grief that we feel when there's a death and what we go through with divorce. And again, with divorce, because it's disenfranchised and there's so many other secondary losses, again, loss of being a full-time parent, loss of your social network, friends kind of side with each partner, loss of your home, maybe your financial, your lifestyle. There's so many losses that happen after divorce and after death. So just to be kind to yourself and understand that it is a journey, and the more supports you have in place, the healthier your journey will be. I cannot wait to meet all of you. I hope that really helps on May the 28th in person at our book launch. And I'm very, very excited to share with my other co-authors as well, with the world, our stories and our journeys of healing and shift and change. Thank you so much. And I cannot wait to share my story with all of you on May 28th at the book launch in person.